Hi everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Mass Make March here on Studioloo. If you're not familiar with Mass Make March and you would like to know more, please go down below into the description box and you'll be able to find the link to the prompts and some other information. Today we are here with day number 6, which is making clusters. So let's just jump on in here. So what I did before this video is I just went to my fabric scrap box and just filled this little box here and decided I really need to use up fabric. So that's what the plan is. I also grabbed a little bowl of buttons from my big button stash and I'm going to do some fabric clusters. I might do some paper ones too if time allows. But for now, what I'm looking to do is to just lay down some little collages of fabric to make clusters. Then I will stitch them all and then I will come back and put buttons on them to make little buttony, fabric-y fun clusters. So I need a couple things, scissors I think, and then we can just kind of get started. So this is a mishmash of things, like I don't know where to begin. Okay, so this is a beautiful sari with all these embroidered flowers on it. It's really quite pretty. I've made a journal from it already, but now I have just this kind of leftover. So I think this would be a nice base for one. And then I will cut out a few of these floral kind of focal points to be the top of a couple other clusters, because I think these would make really cute focal points, all of these little bits of embroidery. I kind of like to stack a few fabrics and then add some kind of a focal point. There are a lot of things that work really well, little stamped pieces of fabric with words or images, little appliques, patches, even paper things. You can obviously combine paper and fabric, but I will just grab a few of these and then we'll have a few clusters that have these beautiful bits on them. I've had a busy day today. We have a freezing rain warning tonight, so I think I'm going to have a quiet day tomorrow because I think the freezing rain is supposed to continue into tomorrow. And I do not like to be outside in any of that noise. Stay home where nobody can drive their car into my car in the freezing rain. Because yeah, it's daunting when people are slipping and sliding around. Okay, so we also have this beautiful trim here. Although I think I want to use that for something else. That's too pretty. That will go back to my forbidden bin of things. And I want one more of these bigger pinky flowers. Saris are some of my very favorite things. And I'm lucky because we have a large South Asian population where I live, so there's always lots of fun saris. See, here's another one. I always find beautiful saris when I'm thrifting. So often that I don't often buy them because I know I already have a considerable collection at home. So we'll grab a third one of these, and then we'll have lots of fun floral focal points. Okay. I need some background kind of fabric, so I've got, this was from a dress actually, and it's this cotton kind of jersey fabric. There we go. I'm going to try to use this piece up because it needs to get used up. It's like I've had this hanging around for too long. And one of my goals with this Mass Make March, and why I'm putting myself through the rigors of hosting such a thing, is that I just really want to use things up, because when you use stuff up, you're allowed to get new stuff. And when you're a thrifter like me, you know, we're not trying to build up too much stuff. Okay. But I also try to do as much like zero waste as possible because, yeah, the environment does not need my waste. Okay, that's cute. And I think the ones that have the focal points, I may not even really need to put a button on because, like, I mean, I could, right? But I may not need to just because they're quite pretty without. Then, oh, there's so much going on in this little box already. Put a bit of lace on there. And then maybe we'll add that focal point. So there's 2. That, and then that will definitely be pretty still with buttons. This one, a bit of this ribbon. It's actually quite big. I'm going to cut it in half. My son is running around upstairs. I'm sure you can probably hear him thundering about. That's what he does. The joyous life of a 3-year-old. Okay. I'm going to grab a bit of this fun mesh. Not there. Yes, then maybe a little. I'll be able to tack that all down with the sewing machine when I get to it. Be able to hold it down how I want it to stitch. Yeah, that might be cool. Not quite. Smaller one would be nice. Okay. This is a really neutral fabric. I like to kind of keep my clusters a little free-formed or even rounded if I can. Just for some reason feels like it flows better. I don't know. Okay, I'll do a couple with this. I've got some of this eco-printed fabric that's quite grungy. Put that there. What else is in this box? This is like a silvery strap from something. That'd be interesting. Okay. Oops. Just dropping things. This fabric isn't going to work for this. I'll just set that off to the side. Okay, here's some. This is a linen from a vintage tea towel. some of this blue viscose maybe. We have some fun book strings and book spine here. That's kind of cool. That would look nice with buttons on top, so I'm going to call that one done. And again, I just feel so challenged by the square shapes. I'm going to see if I can do something that makes me feel like I'm happy with it, though. We'll see. It's a little more scrap. It's a little piece of something. Some black corduroy. Lacy doily here. That could be good with buttons. This as well could be good with buttons. So let's move on to these. I still have some of these bits to use. That would be cute with that. But I feel like it needs something more, kind of a background. Maybe I'll try a little more of this black corduroy. It'd actually be great to just use up the last of this black corduroy because I've used it already for a journal cover. Oops. So many strings all about here. There we go. Stay. Okay. I have some of this iridescent fabric. Which could be really cool with the black. And then I could just stitch some buttons to that. And I don't necessarily need like a floral, whoops, focal point. This. Okay. I have some green. Let's get rid of that selvage. I'll cut a couple of random shapes. That would go nice with that. And I have some of this, which is also beautiful. Sort of a little petit fleur. And if you're wondering, all this scraplet that I'm cutting off is not going to waste. It's going in my little snippet scrappy bin. Okay. I don't want to use that with that. I think this I would like maybe with buttons or something. Oh, and some of this. This is fun. This is like a netting that has sparkles on it. So we'll just kind of stack it on top. Plunk that over there. Okay, and then I think I just need a little something else with this. And that will be that. And then we just have two left that I need to put kind of a backing on. This one with that. And perhaps some of that. Good. Oh, there's another one of those. Okay. Also, maybe I'll just try to use these up while I'm here. I have this little 1990 kind of, it's from an old like tea towel, you know, those ones that have a calendar on them. That kind of takes up too much space. Let's do that. Let's see what I have here on some sort of floral. This was from like a fairy fabric. And that could be cute with that. A little bit of black here. That's cool. Okay, what else do we need? A bit of this maybe under here. And then let's trim it a bit. And then I'll put the excess that's here maybe on top. And then buttons will make that look cuter, I think. Okay, so I think I've got enough to go ahead and stitch. I mean, we made a little dent in this fabric, but see, this is the whole thing about, like, you know, collecting things and thrifting, is you never really use up as much as you think you will. You know, which is okay, as long as, you know, you try to be as prolific in your work as you can be. I just want to add some of this blue and green batik. This particular fabric just makes me unbelievably happy. It's so pretty. Let's put some there maybe. We'll just add a bit of color pop. Also, just put some with this Petit Fleur because it looks really nice with that. See where else we need a little more color. I think here, honestly, that would be cuter. Where? Maybe here. No, actually that one's good. This is me being very extra as usual. Okay, that's good. All right, so what I'll do now is I'll go and I'm going to go to the sewing machine. Oops, and I'm going to stitch like around these focal points. I'm going to stitch these clusters together. So I'll go do that and then I will come back and we'll decide which ones need some buttons. Okay, so my stitching is done and that took a little longer than anticipated. So I think I will keep the clusters just to the fabric clusters for this video. We can do a video another day on the clusters that we can make from paper. I'm pretty sure that most of you, if you've been journaling, have seen that, but if not, I'll be able to do a video on it at another time. So I've got two piles here. This one I feel like would be good with buttons, and this one I feel like is finished. So let's go ahead and we'll add the buttons to these ones, and then I'll show you everything finished at the end. So I also did another kind of cluster while I was at my machine, and that's because I keep a couple things at my machine, and I'll show them to you at my sewing machine. So one is, you know how I was telling you all those little scraps, I wasn't wasting them. I'm throwing them in a bag, and I grab from this bag and I keep a little, sort of a little fabric bag right beside my sewing machine that's full of them. And it's just little fabric bits And the other thing is, I believe the term I've been using is an ort, which is like a thread waste bin. And I learned about doing this from Anne Brooke, of Anne Brooke Textile Artist on YouTube. And I just yarn and threads and embroidery floss, everything. I just shove it all in. And you'd be surprised if you're doing stitching or you're doing even journal making, anything, how quickly you really can amass quite a bit. And there's a lot of different things that I do with that, but one is just making clusters. So what I thought I might do is I just basically grabbed a bunch of it, wound it all together, laid it down. Now I will tell you, you have to be a little careful when you're doing this on your sewing machine because you can get these threads all tangled up in your sewing machine. One safer kind of way of doing this is putting threads or little bits of fabric between fusible web that you can wash away, and that kind of traps everything in between two layers so that you don't have the risk of getting this into your sewing machine. But I was okay. So now what I want to do is this quick kind of way of stitching on buttons that I like to do, and I might have made this thread a little too long because I get greedy with like wanting to go really far with this, and I shouldn't because then it gets tangled. So what I'm going to do basically is go in through the front of the button, hopefully as you can see here, and I'll leave a little bit there, and then I'll go back in here and then just pull it, tight it back, and then again through another hole, and again out through another hole, until we've kind of covered all the holes. And then I've got two pieces left out front here, and then I will just I will tie a double knot, one, I switch directions usually, and two. Can't recall if they call it a fisherman's knot, like I don't remember. There's a term for it when you switch directions and it makes a stronger knot that doesn't undo. And then I'll leave a little bit just because that's fun. And then you can come back and kind of, you know, change the shape of your cluster if you want to. I don't like the hard edges, so I will trim that down a bit. So I'm happy with that. Of course, I can add more buttons if I want to, right? Like there's no rules, but I'm going to try to keep it a little shorter because so that we can get through these. So next one was this. So this one, I had that black circle and this iridescent fabric. I added a couple things from my scrap bin, some of this gold lacy webby stuff, and then some corduroy. And then I'll take this beautiful shell button and I'll do the same thing with it. Just go in one hole, leave a bit, and then out the other. And then tie. Okay, let's make that one a little shorter. And I might add another button to this one, just because I think it would look nice. And we have a bit of time. And now that I've just kind of lowered the stress level for myself, that I'm only making one kind of cluster in this video. I was thinking with the paper of just using scraps to make clusters and adding word snippets to them, because that's a really fun, effective way to make a cluster, an interesting cluster. I keep like a lot of little tickets and clusters and things in my stash of ephemera that have little book, you know, verses and things on them, and it makes a nice way to have some ephemera. And then this one, it's a cute little button, kind of violet. I don't often use these kind of buttons, but that one's not too bad. They add bulk when they aren't flat buttons a little bit, but this one's got a pretty flat little knobby thing, whatever they're called. I forget what these button backs are called. And I'll just go back through, and this one I'll tie it at the back. And I'm using embroidery floss to tie these on with, so it's not just sewing thread, so it's a little stronger. If I was using sewing thread, I'd probably stitch through about 3 times and then do a triple knot just to be careful. But yeah, that's cute. Then I need a new piece of floss. I'm just using green floss because I think it kind of goes with everything. It has a botanical feel to it. So I'm using an embroidery needle, which have a nice long skinny kind of hole, so it makes it easier. Let's try maybe on this one a little red button. Yeah, that'll be a good first one at least. Oop, there we go. Didn't think that was going to fit through. Oh, do we have a knot? We do. Oh, I got it out. Okay. I love when that happens and the knot's not a real knot. It's just like a little slip knot and then it comes out. Okay, there's the other side there. The trickiest part of this really is just tying all these little knots. It's not even really tricky so much as it's just a little fiddly, a little time consuming. Okay. And I may try to go with, that's not even a button, but no, I don't want to put that on there. There's a little leaf. And then you just have to fuss around with things until you're happy with them, right? Let's do with these. Oh, there's a yellow. There's a nice yellow. So I'm just going to trap this extra lace here. Put it under the button because it's kind of gone a little off the cluster. I didn't stitch it all down. Find that second hole. There we go. I always think I want to do stitching videos, but I don't because I feel like I'm way too quiet when I'm stitching because I'm focusing. Okay, there's that one. So those are done. And this little bit that has that fun book spine, I want something like a little brown looking and kind of plain, kind of rustic. See if I have a different color thread hanging about, if I have a scrap here. Wonder if, could I thread this through experiment number 1? I don't think I'll be able to get it through the hole, but let's see. The buttonhole, that is. I know I can get it through here, but I suspect I won't be able to get it through here. One thing you can do, though, if you're trying to force the issue, is you can use pliers. No, it won't. And then you have to realize when the issue has been forced. Now let me just check. Does the end of that, yeah, the end of that does go through. I'm going to check my scraps because I don't want to get up and get any thread. I want to stay here and finish what I'm doing. Here's some blue. That might be good. Yeah. Doesn't need to be like very long, so there we go. That's fun. Just looking at this little tiny bit I have in my scraps, and I'm thinking that would be kind of fun. So I'm going to go back through this button onto the back of the cluster and try to come up through one of the holes in that tiny little bit, and I'll show it to you as soon as I get it stitched on, I promise. Hold on. See that? It's like just a little tiny piece of fabric with two little eyelets, as though it maybe were a button, but it's not anymore. I think it just goes with that rustic spine piece. The devil is in the details, right? Yeah, so that's fun, grungy. Okay, and then this one I'd been thinking could be accented by a couple of buttons, or at least one button. I did grab a little bit of pink scrap here on this one from my scrappy bits. That's a little bead. Beads are another option. It's a blue one. That would be cute. Let's do that. Ooh, there's a gnarly old, look at that. That gnarly old tack. Ooh, wonder if we could push that down. You know what, this is a project for later. Let's not injure ourselves while we're doing this. Whoops, I stitched all the way through. This is me being the magpie that I am. You see that? Shiny, distracted. Okay. It's okay. We're back on task here. Just trying to find hole number 2. So we'll just go through the back of the fabric. Then I'll lift the button up so I can find the other hole. There we go. Let's move this out of the way, now that we're not doing anything archaic anymore. So there's one. I just want to trim this short. And I think I want a second button on there. It's too fat. Maybe this one. Yeah, that's cute. It's a little shell button. Oh, the hole is too small for my needle. Maybe this one. Can we do that one? Yeah. That's a little sparkly glass button, which is really cute. Okay, and then we will just tie a knot here. There we go. I guess this one, maybe one of these, this vintagey toggle button. Yeah, that's fun. Okay, I think we only have a couple more to go of the ones that need buttons. So this one definitely needs something going on here. So we'll start with this large white shell button. Stitch that in an X across the top and then tie it at the back. You can also embroider on clusters if that is something you enjoy doing, hand stitching. Lots of opportunities to just be creative and do something relaxing. I often enjoy an Instagram account called Teacher's Table Crafts. She's a lovely hand stitcher, and she sells on Etsy, she sells her little bits of things that she makes. It seems like she just chooses to do, like, you know, maybe a small limited run of a certain kind of thing, like a cluster or like little hand embroidered panels. And I always think, like, that's a really nice little thing. Nice, like, variety of, like, you know, things to be working on and then, like, selling to, like, support what you're doing. And, you know, it's nice to see small bits of handwork like that. Also, her stitching's very nice. So that's that one. And then we have one more to go that I think this needs a bit of a simple something. And I want to kind of hide the thread on the back. Actually, I may just look for another scrappy thread. Let's see. It's a little challenging because I keep a lot of different things in here, like little tiny bits and thread tangles and what have you. Oh my goodness, it's a little bit of a mess for sure, but often, like right now, you can find a little bob that you can use, right? Here's a more neutral color that will look nicer on here. Like a gold shade. I typically populate a lot of this bin with my leftovers for when I'm stitching in spines, because I usually will stitch my signatures in. I'll use like a new ream of embroidery floss, and typically if I'm doing like a 5 signature journal or more, I use most of an embroidery floss skein. So then I'm just left with kind of like maybe enough to stitch in a couple signatures, but not enough to like stitch a whole journal for the size journals that I usually make. So I just throw it on in there and away we go. Okay, what's this? I don't think I want the leaf though. I want something to just be, this feels almost kind of masculine, this one. The colors, I don't know. So we'll do a crisscross over the top of this. That's a shell button. It's so pretty. The abalone buttons are amazing. And just go over the back. Oops. That's okay. Well, that's a nice good knot. Let's just tie it once more so it's strong. There we go. Cut a little of that bulk off. Okay. Put my needle back in my tangled up little pin cushion here. Okay. There we are. So let's just clear this a little up. Clear a little bit. Get rid of the buttons. And then we'll look at what we finished. Okay, so let's count as we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and this is another one that I made from random bits that I keep beside my sewing machine. 19, 20, 21, and I think that's a new record of things that we made, because our record before was 19. So 21 on the clusters. Okay, so that is it for me for now, and I will be back tomorrow with the next exciting project for Mass Make March. Thank you for hanging out with me. If you made clusters, tell me about it. I would love to see them. Make sure you use the hashtag on Instagram, on YouTube, any of the other socials, and that is Mass Make March 2023. Take care. Bye for now.